depending on our history and our relationship with our reproductive system, we may have some emotional issues associated with it. And so it helps to have some tools and some thinking and some ways to process emotional baggage, or can we call it emotional toxicity, associated with our reproductive system. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And we've been talking about a reproductive system and how it's connected to sex and sexuality. And so any of us who have had some kind of even just minor abuse in the area of this category, anytime your genitals have been ridiculed or abused, anytime that there's been inappropriate unwanted contact, especially in the genital area. There's a lot of different, anything from minor, and depending on your age when it happened, before you were even in a sexual way, okay? So in other words, before you're sexually mature, and so all the way up to the full-blown violent rape, we've got, unfortunately, human, the way we treat each other, it fills that entire gambit, okay? So obviously it's difficult to make a comparison between someone who has a small issue compared to a major issue, but the fact of the matter is there's still issues, and even if it's a young woman afraid of her breasts, right? So she ends up in a collapsed position where her chest is hiding, trying to hide the breasts because she doesn't want to be an object. She doesn't want to be a sex object. What she sees in our culture is that to be a woman, to have breasts and to have a sexy body, quote unquote sexy body, is to become an object of sexual desire to men and any man. And that's obviously a form of abuse, right? We have cultural abuse in this area. So what do we do about this? Okay, now, of course, we can push culture to have better behavior, but that's kind of more of a long-term project, and I think it's going to require a huge amount of prayer. I don't think we're going to solve that problem. But what can we do about it individually? Because this is affecting my life right now. This is affecting my reproductive system. This is affecting my sexuality. Now, what can I do about this? And here's where I'm going to lean on some essential oils. And we've discussed both. Well, this oil blend called SARA, okay, for sexual and ritual abuse. And some of you would say, well, gee, I've never been sexually abused. There's a ritual abuse associated with this. What I call ritual abuse is this cultural negative I've been talking about, this cultural down on sexuality and reproductive system in general. And so we're going to have to be brave, right? So I'm going to include Valor, right, in our little combination here. So we've got a three oil combination: SARA, Valor, and of course Release, our old friend coming along our program. And so we've got these three oils: SARA, Valor, and Release, and we're going to use these for emotional support. We're going to use this with our breathing, okay? And so this is it's going to require us to be brave, because there's some things that we don't want to deal with, or that we feel we cannot possibly deal with. How do you get over something like a violent rape or violent crime in that regard? How do you get over that? I mean, am I a victim? Am I now dirty because someone did something to me? And let me just put a perspective out of the Bible on this. That first of all, forgiveness is available to everyone, but the thing is, if you've been a victim, someone's put something on you. Okay, Jesus was victimized. He was spat on. He was kicked. He was beaten, bloody, and he was called all kinds of things. But he was never dirty because of that. Okay, so he was innocent. He's innocent among the whole thing. This may be the same situation that you're finding yourself, is that there's this outside source or force that's trying to tell you that you're dirty or low or unworthy, and they don't have any power of that, okay? So we have to go back and say, okay, wait a minute, just because someone hurt me, someone abused me, someone put their junk on me, doesn't make me dirty, okay? So, and that's, anyway, just to start off, we're going to use this Valor. And of course, it's always wonderful to smell it, but we just put a few drops in the hand. Yes, it comes out quite purple. And we've got our Valor oil to be brave, and we talk about the Valor hold, which is to put a little dab on the wrist and hold the wrist together, and breathe, and connectedness, and we can put Valor on the feet as well, and breathe connectedness throughout the whole body. And there's a system called polarity that makes these connections between the body, because there is an electrical current in the body that goes around. And you don't have to believe it. You could just do it and breathe and pretend that as I'm doing this, my courage increases, and feeling the support coming in. Okay, so this is this Valor. And of course, the more I smell it, the amygdala sits in the middle of the brain, right behind the olfactory nerve. So as the sense of smell comes in and the oils come in, they tickle the amygdala, if you will, and that's the center of emotion. And so I'm getting this Valor, this bravery associated with allowing myself to access some of these thoughts and emotions that are connected to maybe some of this junk in the past. Now I'm going to take the SARA oil and going to allow this to do its thing. Again, a lot of times you just let the oil do the work. And again, it doesn't take very much. I'm just going to allow, it's going to be a little slow. I actually haven't, this is a brand new bottle. So sometimes it takes, so it only takes a drop or two. And this one is clear. It doesn't have any color. But I'm going to smell on this. This is a very nice place to put oils to allow me to smell that. And then in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put this down on the pubic bone down in here. If you're not in the area where you can feel like you can put oils down in your pants, which is understandable, then just keep it above, just keep it up here where you can smell it. And so I'm going to invite that oil to go in, and of course it's the love and light of God that's coming in and doing the work, but I'm allowing the oil to be a part of this. And I'm going to ask for healing and resolution. You can pick a number of different words, wholeness or wiped clean, however you want to think of it, on any of this garbage that's associated with the sexuality, and reproduction. Okay, and I'm letting the oil do the work. And again, I'm just breathing in light, sending it down into the reproductive system. Now, if you had a particular area of abuse, you could be putting these oils on directly onto the area of abuse, even if it's down in the private parts or anus or any part of the body that has been abused in this regard. Then you could put the oil just a tiny little bit right on it. These are all diluted oils, these that we're using, so they're not going to have they shouldn't have any intense, it's not like peppermint or wintergreen where, it's pretty sharp. Okay, so again, we're breathing in the light and the love and filling our body with the light and the love, especially our reproductive system and any other area that was associated or feels like it might be associated with this baggage that we're carrying with us. And just filling it up. And as we fill up with light, it tends to push out to the surface this junk. And you hear some of the same, it digs up some of these issues. And here's where we use the release oil and say, okay, time to let those go. Time to get those out of my field. And so here we're going to use the release oil. This one also is a little blue. It's got the tansy in it. I believe it's the tansy that's making this blue. Anyway, so now I've got release, and I can use that to help my mind release. So put it across the forehead, let my heart release, put it on the heart, and then put it on the root chakra, which is down at the pubic bone. And again, not a big deal if you don't feel like you're in a place where you can be putting oils down your pants. I understand that. So smell the release. And I'm just going to come back to the fact that I'm filling up with light. and I'm going to push out from the middle outward, push out all this junk, and just let it fall like so much ash. Just the little dirt and ash that falls off of the outside. You push it all the way out of your body into this area, this aura around us, if you will, and just let it fall as so much junk on the floor. It's not your dirt, it's their dirt. I'm just gonna let it go. Okay, I'm not gonna carry this dirt with me anymore. Okay, and there are gonna be some areas that are resistant to this idea of filling up, right? And then again, you might start to fill up with this light, fill up my whole body, and you find areas that are hiding and that won't fill up, and that's where you go to the Valor and say, okay, I'm going to put some Valor on that spot. Be brave. Come on, you can do it. We're talking to our body. You can do it. Put some Valor right on a spot there, and then use that connection with the oil to breathe in and fill up that spot with the light, and then we go back to the SARA to make sure that it's integrating against any of this garbage that's associated with the reproductive system, and then that release, pushing it out. Sorry, my phone just fell off. My release to push it off of push it out and off the body, get rid of this stuff. We're not going to carry this stuff with us anymore. We're letting it go. All right. And I'm going to get this thing clipped in. Okay, so it's not magic. We're not dealing, the oils aren't this is all intentionality. You know how I work with consciousness. We're bringing our consciousness to allow something, that a pain, a history, an injury of the past, that we're, and this, you can do this technique for any injury. In fact, you could use these oils for any injury of the past. It doesn't have to be of sexual nature, but this is the kind of thing where you can use the oils and your breathing as a way to process through. Now, if you're someone who's in this mode, I highly recommend that even if you don't feel like you have any, that you've had a really blessed growing up and experience of coming into sexuality and maturing through into a mature state, and you've not had any abuse or injury in that category, or haven't noticed the rest of the world imposing anything or trying to impose anything on you, then fine. I'm not saying that you have to do this every day. I'm asking you to just kind of play with this at least once or twice. See if you can make sure you clear your field of any of this garbage that we seem to be propagating as a culture, and then we move on. Now, those of us who've got a little more work to do, this may be something we do once a week. Maybe every day is too much, too often to do it every single day. But maybe once a week we do this little exercise, put the oils on, do a little breathing, fill it up, go it, and then let it go. Drop it for a week and come back to it the next week. If it's something that's really working on you, you could of course do it more often, once or twice a day. Now, I do caution that the oils really do work. They really work on the emotional level because they're going into the amygdala. So use your breathing and back off if you need to. Also, go back to your detox process, your sulfurzyme and super C, and breathing, or obviously you're already doing the breathing, but sulfurzyme and super C, because there have been studies that document that the body will start to detox and dump physical toxins associated with emotional work and emotional processing. So as you become more whole, letting go of this emotional baggage, and you can move forward to be creative. So one of the things about the reproductive system, it's the creative force in your life, okay? So we're not just talking, so you may say, hey, I don't care about reproduction, I don't care about the having kids and all the rest of that. No, you do, because that's the creative force, that's the whole part of your life that moves you into a new space to do something new and creative. And we want to be healthy in that category. We don't want to be held back in that area. So, okay, so be brave, use your oils, Valor, SARA, release, great oil combination to help with this processing of emotions, especially damage or injury that is in the past of having to do with the reproductive system, sex and sexuality, okay? Happy wellness, one day at a time. We'll see you tomorrow.